Greetings, friends, and welcome to the woods. I had a question about Maleficent, the movie, and about Fae in general. And I'd like to first talk about the movie and then get into the reality of Fae and what they are like, what to expect when eventually we redevelop, we bring back the capacity to see and communicate with them. But first, let's get into what's portrayed in the story, the most recent story, the cinematic story of um, the evil fairy Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. Now, there was a gentleman online, he's fairly famous, I'm not going to repeat his name, who has an issue with the way that Disney has gone back to humanize their villains and show they're not so bad. In some cases, they're misunderstood. In some cases, they had a difficult life situation that provoked them. And he felt that we need to get back to the very black and white. There's evil, there's good. You know, the evil people have to be destroyed, and the good people are the ones who need to do that. I understand his impatience and his anger. I understand it because we do have good and evil in the world. We do have absolute good and absolute evil. It exists. It does. However, that's such a small minority of the population of humans as well as the population of entities that we need to be very, very careful with that concept. And by teaching our children that you're either good or evil and there's nothing in between, when we grow up, grow older, and make mistakes, sometimes horrible mistakes, we might be inclined to believe that no matter what we do, we're irredeemable, that we're horrible, that there's no point to even trying to be a better person because, you know, we're already bad, so we might as well just get more entrenched and worse. And it's not a good message. It's everyone can have a redemption arc. Everyone can work toward being better and more. And we have all, through our life, many lifetimes, done things that later we regret, done things that harm others, sometimes in a big way, for all sorts of reasons. Sometimes we stood by while others were harmed when we could have intervened. Sometimes we took an active hand because we thought it was the right thing. We need to be able to forgive ourselves. We need to be able to come to terms with our shadow. Yes, it is within me to do this. And as I move forward, I'm not going to do it anymore. I have learned, and I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm better than that now. I'm a different person now. I can move forward from this. That's a better lesson. It's a better thing to teach our children. Yes, good and evil exists. Yes, you have to oppose evil. But evil and good are there. It's a choice. We're not just born all bad. You'd have to have prestigious amount of darkness or light in lifetime after lifetime going back to fall into that category. So it's better to teach our children there are gray areas. And that's what Maleficent, the story, does. Its place in our storytelling was to show that there's another side to the story. And it was very important to present that at the time it was presented, because we were beginning to realize some of the people we think are the heroes are the villains of the story, and vice versa. We're beginning to learn that our world isn't what our authority figures have told us. And some of our big, wonderful authority figures, who we held up as paragons of virtue and the models of our behavior, were the farthest thing from that. This is us on a psyche level facing that truth and having it illustrated for us and having it demonstrated that just because a group of people has demonized a person or another group of people, it doesn't make it true. Now, getting back to the what we teach our children and what we should and shouldn't teach our children. I made that comment that it's better for our children to learn that just because we are mischievous or bratty or bad or do stupid things or do horrible things or do things other people think are horrible and we don't understand why it's horrible. I stepped on the neighbor's grass and that made me a villain. But did it? Did it? It's better to teach them to question. And somebody responded that I think that the discussion, the story under discussion was Cruella de Vil, and how she had been reinterpreted. And how can we do this to our children? How can we confuse them this way? And somebody pointed out that my opinion, the sophistication of the potential for redemption is just way too much for children to handle. They're not going to understand that. And she was right. That the person who disagreed with me, she was correct. Children can't handle it. They need they're coming from source. And in source, you can see very starkly the good, the evil. You can see it. You can feel it stronger. So yeah, she was right. It'd go over a child's head. But these stories, these movies aren't created just for children, even though they come out of the animation. They're created for older children, adolescents, and the family, for adults, so that they can start thinking about these concepts, what they were inculcated with when they were children. They can start rethinking that. And for children, as a child, you may not understand all the things that are presented to you consciously. But what's modeled to you, it takes a hold subconsciously in here. And later on, the lessons learned, the things that you see, the things that you understand, you're going to, all of those things, you're going to incorporate that into your view of how life works, how reality works, what reality is. Now, it's important as you grow up to start questioning that. And we all know how, as adolescents, the child will pull away from the family. The reason for that is for them to develop their own character, their own variation of what they came out of. In some cases, it could be wildly different from their parents. They need to find out who they are. And they can't find out who they are if they're so wrapped up in their family and what their family has chosen for them that they don't have any independent thought. They need to learn, is this truly who I am, or is there more to me? Am I different? Is this what I want to be? They need to try different things. So that's when you start questioning. That's when you start looking back on the stories that you were told as a child and figuring out, does this make sense? So, yes, these stories get told to us. We just accept them. We may not understand all the nuances of them. Later on, we question. We figure it out. We figure out if it relates to us. We figure out how it relates to us. And then that's food for us to determine what our reality is going to be. Stories create reality. And welcome to the woods.